Welcome AP World History students to this short tutorial on the format of writing your 20-page research paper that we'll be completing throughout the semester. Please note that the resource itself, the Screencast-O-Matic digital artifact, will be available online that you can reference at any time. We will also go over this assignment in class. You'll have the opportunity to show your knowledge in some upcoming assignments as well. But the important thing here is to realize that this format is very specific. The outline is very detailed, and we need to know these things to prepare ourselves to be graded as such. So the first thing we need to add to our 20-page research paper is obviously a title page. As you can see here, there are no page numbers on this title page. We have a title about a third of the way down the page, the student's name, the class, and the due date here about 2/3 of the way down. Now, we've been working this past week on two-part titles, one part, colon, second part of the title, again, a third of the way down. Of course, your name, AP World History, the hour you're in, and of course the due date. That is your title page that will go on top of your research paper. Now, getting into the bulk of things, we have our abstract. Our abstract, because online search databases typically contain only abstracts, it's vital to write a complete but concise description of your work to entice potential readers into obtaining a copy of the full paper. Now, obviously, I'll be the one reading your paper, but this is just a glimpse into what abstracts can do for you. So really, as a writer, you should follow a checklist in your abstract. It should consist of motivation, problem statement, the approach you're going to take, the results that you found, and conclusions. And following this checklist should increase the chance of people taking the time to obtain and to read your complete paper. Or, in other words, how excited I'm going to be to read your paper. The abstract is very important. It's a huge attention getter for you. And one big thing we need to notice about this abstract is that it is completely indented here. As you can see, in regular paragraphs, we have the first sentence that is indented, right? The abstract will be fully indented. That is very, very important. Fully indented. The second thing that comes after the abstract is the keywords. These are the words that the reader will see repeatedly throughout your paper. It's really getting the reader familiarized with some of the terminology that you'll be using. Very important to add keywords, and see also here that the keywords are also indented. Very, very important. After the abstract and keywords, we're going to space twice, 1, 2, to get to our introduction. Now, our introduction is very precise as well, so please pay attention to the format of our introduction. As you can see here, this is not a mistake. The first paragraph after a new heading will not be indented. Again, the first paragraph, the first sentence of the first paragraph of a new heading, let me show you another example. A new heading means that this sentence, this first sentence, will not be indented. Please remember that. But the introduction will consist really of 3 parts. The introduction should have an attention grabber, much like the attention grabber in your abstract. It should be something that really pulls the reader in. It should also include a literary review. Now, this is very, very important. This is ownership of others' works. It's the idea that you are not only aware, but that you are versed in other scholars' constructed arguments on your topic. So in essence, you can argue against, you can argue for, but you have to show that you know that other scholars have previously written works on this subject. And then finally, your thesis. This should all boil down to the big picture, your argument, your main theme of your paper. This will be at the end of your introduction. So again, your attention grabber here, first sentence is not indented. You have some background information. We'll talk a little bit more about the introduction this week. Some background information and some of the specifics that can go in your introduction, but it's very important that your attention grabber is there for me, your literary review, and then your thesis is included in your introduction. And again, as we scroll through, this is a 20-page research paper. You're going to have 4 to 5 headings. And again, one more time, we are not going to indent the first sentence after a heading. Also very important, last thing on this introduction part of your 20-page research paper is the length. Now, 20 pages means something along the lines of 1 1/2 pages of introduction. In essence, our 20-page paper, we'd like our introduction to end somewhere around the end of page 2. It would be perfect if your first heading was the first line of page 3. Now, if it's not specific, that's okay. But again, this is the about length we'd like our introduction to be. About 1 1/2 pages. So as we scroll through here, you can see that, again, we get to a heading, we have no indent. We'll talk in detail more about the bulk of your argument, of your research paper, throughout our work, throughout the semester. But those are just the specifics on our format for our title page, our page 1, our abstract, keywords, introduction, our headings, making sure that we're not indenting here. Another key formatting rule we're going to have is that our page numbers are located in the bottom right. In many classes, you guys have page numbers in the top right, top left. For AP World History, we'd like them in the bottom right. And finally, we get to our conclusion. Now, our conclusion is going to wrap everything up, right? It's not just a repeated introduction. It is, in some sense, a wrap-up of the introduction, a rephrasing of the question, excuse me, a rephrasing of the question, talk a little bit about what we've learned throughout the paper, and again, go back to our conclusion. And at this point, the reader should be able to figure out or have an opinion on whether or not you argued your thesis enough. So there is your conclusion. And then finally, we're going to have end notes. End notes, not footnotes. Again, end notes, not footnotes. End notes are what are going to be noted at the end, obviously, of your research paper. Footnotes would be at the bottom of every page, and some of you guys are cheaters, and a 20-page paper would be a 15-page paper, but you have footnotes gobbling up a third of each page. So we're going to do end notes, and as you can see here, we'll go over some of the formatting stuff and the specifics in class, but we'll find an end note here. Here's an end note. It is after the end punctuation of the line. You guys already know your rules on citations, but we will be using end notes instead of footnotes. We'll also call to attention the appendix, which will be included at the end behind your bibliography, something we've talked about in previous classes, behind your Chicago Manual style bibliography, Chicago Manual style citations, which we've previously talked about. But this is our appendix. Our appendix are going to be any graphics that we include. They could be maps, they could be charts, anything that we're going to include that is going to enhance our argument will be included in what's called our appendix, which will be the final pages of our research paper. These are separate sheets of paper, and again, could be a number of different things. Could be pictures, charts, bar graphs, maps. Whatever's going to enhance your argument can be included in your appendix. So again, we'll finally go over exactly what we want for our AP World History 20-page research paper. Again, we'll have our title page. If I can find it here, our title page. We'll have our page number 1. As you can see, the page numbers start here. Again, they're not going to start on our title page with our abstract and keywords indented. Our introduction, that's somewhere between 1 and 1/2 pages long. Making sure that after our headings, we do not indent. Of course, we're page numbers in the bottom right-hand corner. Endnotes. Our bibliography again, which you guys know how to do in our Chicago manual style. And finally, our appendix. So, that's everything. What we're going to do now is go to our Go Formative page, and you guys are going to talk a little bit in your own words about what the format for this paper is going to be. We're going to do it once in class. You guys are going to watch this screencast-o-matic video again at home. Sure up any questions that you have after seeing the questions. Do it again, and we'll talk about it a little in class. What the point of this entire lesson, the point of this entire thing, is to get you comfortable with the format we'd like. In college and in other academic institutions, you guys are going to be asked to do research papers and papers using different formats, and you have to be very precise with those things. So we're going to start that now. We're going to be very precise with the way that we format this research paper. So any questions that you have, please feel free to email me, find me after class. But other than that, good luck researching, and we'll see you soon.